What's up YouTube, MrLlama here, and today we're going to be watching Coooley's changes for D2R's new season video where he describes some changes he wishes to see in upcoming patches for Diablo 2 Resurrected new seasons. This is also stuff that he's seen around the community and such, so we're just going to go ahead and check out what he's got. I've got my own thoughts on pieces. I'll kind of implement some of them here, but I'll make my own video to kind of go over all the stuff that I would like. Regardless, let's take a look and listen.
Do the devs even care about this game anymore? Things
That
are
is a
going
good
so
question.
swimmingly over at D4. I'm sure no one's going back to Diablo 2 Resurrected.
Nobody at all.
Or are they? Forums online are exploding with questions about when the next D2 ladder reset will be, along with some suggestions for this new patch. Let's take a look
Video volume too low. All right, let's turn them up.
what the people want for this upcoming patch, along with some of the most creative suggestions. D2R Ladder Season 4 started on May the 4th, and if devs are keeping suggestions,
what is that
D2R
ring?
Ladder Season 4
Oh, it's a Ravenfrost.
started on May the 4th.
It looked
Devs are
rare
keeping
with
true
the...
to their 3 or 4 month ladder cycle. This means that the next season is due any minute now.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to go 5 months is my guess. Or they're just going to surprise us and be like, psych, it's coming next week. And then we're not going to be able to plan for it or anything like that. But my guess is they're going to September on it. We'll see.
But what sorts of changes can we expect with this patch? I think it's fair to say that with the focus on D4 lately and the rather underwhelming previous D2R patch, hot topics such as loot filters, currency tabs, or even gem...
Oh. Dude, look at that tab right there. Where is this tab? Where is this tab? Is this in a mod? Is this just a drawn? Just, oh my god. That is the sexiest tab ever. I would do so many things for a tab like that. Wow, look at it. I mean, it's just perfect. Like, it literally is perfect. You have your runes. Your runes are in order. You got your keys, your essences, all your organs, all your gems, so you can have all the different kind of gems you want. Boom, done. It also, I think, is a great show of Diablo 2 not having too much currency, which I think is really nice. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love PoE. I do think it's cool. But, man, I need so many different tabs for all the different shards of whatever that I need and cards and various things. And I get really lost and confused on all the stuff that I have, and halfway through the game I'm like, what does this stuff do again? You know, they got a lot. I think this is like beautiful, and it's like, this is all the currency in Diablo 2. I guess they also need one more box for Standard of Heroes. That's the one thing they're missing. You know, because one day it's gonna matter. But otherwise, it's like you got your gems, you got your runes, some keys, organs, essences. You're done. These go to this, these go to this, these all go to this, and the runes all go together. Perfect.
Stacking
God, I
are
want that so
probably
bad.
off the table. Instead, for this video, we're going to focus on the simple suggested changes that could make a world of difference. Let's start with itemization. Grinding to find the most GG items possible is what Diablo 2 is all about.
Yeah.
But players who have done this for years have noticed some annoying problems with D2's itemization. To sum it up, you will never find the perfect rare quality item for your build. You will likely have to either design it in Hero Editor if you're playing single player, or rely on someone else to find it, or their bot to find it if you're playing online. At which point you'll have to trade every high rune you've ever found to get it. This is because rare items can only spawn with 6 attributes on them, and which ones
Oh, you're gonna do me dirty like that? The 222 open socket? You're gonna put that in my face again? All right, Coooley.
spawn on the item are extremely important. There is a vast pool of attributes that are allowed on many different items, including rings, boots, circlets, belts, and...
Ooh. That's not too bad.
More. Some of these rare items can be best in slot, but players hardly ever find them enough for it to be anything more than a pipe dream for most players. I can't stress enough how rare it actually is to find a valuable rare item in this game.
Ooh, that's nice.
And players across the realms have suggested an interesting way to address this. It boils down to addressing the unanimously useless attributes that spawn, or to just stop them from spawning on rare items at all. This is a list of the most common ones that are rarely or even perhaps never sought after.
You kidding me, Coooley? It's a trash list. First off, everybody loves light radius. The real fix to light radius is to darken things further, making light radius even better. That is the real. When you get down into like, I played a mod, and it was a darkness mod, and everything was blackened, and it was modded so that the overworld was also blackened, so you could only see like just around you. And let me tell you, number one, light radius became so much more useful and so much better. And number two, boss fights, especially like Diablo, were the scariest, and like the fights suddenly became amazing fights again because I couldn't see where the boss always was, and then I just get like lightning shot out like at me, and I'd have to run away, or you know, whatever. It was fantastic. Slightly painful, but it was fantastic. I'm all about it. Let's darken it and bring light radius in. To be fair, that was really fun, but I get it. Added elemental damage. Yeah, I would say keep this one. Damage AR versus undead and demons. That one, maybe not. Stamina regen, you can definitely trash. Hit causes monster to flee, can definitely be trashed. Half freeze duration, I think, is a bad one to trash. That's a bad one on the list. Followed by mana and life per kill. Cool, you're out your dang mind. You've lost your mind. I know you're like the PvP guy, so you have all the late game gear where half freeze duration doesn't matter and life and mana after kill doesn't matter. But when you're actually playing through the game, yeah, on rares, finding half freeze duration on something, getting mana per kill on something is worth a lot. It's actually really nice, and you can take it further. Mana life per level. Yeah, I can understand that because that doesn't get affected by battle orders. So then that's like, it just isn't as good. But I still think it's like not a bad mod. And defense on circlets. The problem is I think defense on items that have defense should continue to have defense. The difference is I think we need to make defense just better and more important. So I think you've got a couple in here, but honestly, I think you're missing removing a lot of like other things. And I mean, like, okay, so I'm thinking, you know, remove all the chance to cast Charge Bolt and stuff, but you do want chance to cast Nova, Frost Nova, like different things like that. Obviously, there's a lot of garbage charges, but you don't want to get rid of charges because you do want the option for like teleport charges and things. I don't know. I think there's a sum to remove, but I think you went too hard on like some of these things.
By any class, for any build, or for any reason. I've purposely excluded other useless attributes, such as the chance to proc anything but amplify damage, and the attacker takes damage mod.
Oh yeah, attacker takes damage. I mean, it is good for pacifists.
Only out of respect for the 2 or 3 people that do pacifist runs. Otherwise, those abilities would probably be on this list as well. Allowing players to either re-roll these abilities or just...
Yeah, plus 50 poison damage over 5 seconds. You say literally never useful, but wait till you find that on an early rare item and you're like, let's go!
Stopping them from spawning on rare items altogether would be an incredible change. Even without these, there would still be so many possible attributes left that would still have to spawn in the correct combination with others. Extremely valuable rares would still be just that. Rare. But at least players would have a few less horrible options to worry about, rewarding most players who grind to find items with a slight bit better chance of actually finding something keepable. Another request from the community.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some affix pruning that can be done. I would need to look through all the affixes and really pick out the few. Again, there's some of the like stamina regen ones and stuff where it's like nobody ever wants it, ever. You can get rid of light radius as well. You know, there's some. Just put light radius on like, you know, torch and like those things and stuff. But, you know, I think you don't want to prune too much. Right.
Is to buff the TC87 uniques. There's a ton of suggestions.
You skipped over the part where they said clean up the bots plus chat. I think that's an important first part. All right, second part, buff TC87 uniques.
That already exist for adding or buffing old items. In fact, we've done a couple of videos on this in the past. While rune words were meant to be more powerful than TC87 uniques, it sure would be
These are all like uniques that feel like they should be so good, but they're all just garbage. You're like Cranium Basher, Executioner's Justice, Stormspire, Steel Pillar, Tyrael's Might. Like, these are so rare and awesome. And then you're like, but when do I use it? No. No, actually, they all suck.
refreshing to see some of these updated. The devs have already shown an interest in making changes to these types of items, which has sparked some hope within the community. One unique item with almost unanimous support for a buff is Tyrael's Might.
Yeah, sorry, I'm covering it. Tyrael's Might. This is the one that I think you definitely start with. Just give it teleport, man. It also probably could use something else, but like, man, rarest item in the game?
Might. This is the rarest item in the game, yet hasn't found its way onto any build.
Needs light radius.
Players are hoping that the devs can scrutinize the utility of this item.
There you go, +1 teleport.
And update it, keeping in mind that Enigma is the item that every armor is competing with. When you consider the fact that even most sorceresses in PvP are using Enigma as their main armor, we shouldn't really worry too much about stepping over the line with it.
Why is Enigma so good that a character that doesn't need teleport still wears it? So good. It's crazy.
This one. Players need a mobility source on this armor, and it probably has to be teleport. We've suggested some versions before, but I'd be curious to know more about what you think in the comments. Starting with simply changing this unique could be a good gesture to the D2 community and a huge step in the right direction.
+2 skills, teleport. Does that make it good enough? +2 skills, teleport, 20 fast run walk, 30 strength, 30 all resist, cannot be frozen, no requirements. Enigma, you're getting damage reduction, life, max life. You're getting all of the extra strength. No resistances though. You get better, faster run walk on Enigma and magic find on Enigma. Enigma is still better. Now you can put a socket in this, so that's helpful. But probably not helpful enough. Now having cannot be frozen is cool, but the thing is Ravenfrost is still just like a really solid ring overall. Maybe just give it like more sockets. Then it just becomes godly. Then everybody just shoves 45 15s in it and just like Amazons would be so disgusting. Jeez. Three sockets, 2 open sockets. Yeah, I mean, you're getting closer.
Players aren't asking for a complete overhaul of useless uniques all at once, just an acknowledgement that the devs are interested in experimenting with this sort of update.
I think this shows just how too strong Enigma is and that Enigma needs to be nerfed. When we're like adding +2 to skills and teleport to this armor, and we're like, nope, that still doesn't do it.
Another big suggestion is one surrounding melee characters. Melee builds have been slighted since LOD patch 1.9, but there's still a few adjustments that can be made to make at least a few of them a bit more viable. Charles JT tagged a few of us on Twitter and directed our attention to some
Maul skill now cleaves and hits up to 2 adjacent enemies next to your primary target. See, this is actually something I can get behind. Everybody always says, add melee splash, add melee splash. Everybody wants melee splash. I don't think adding melee splash is actually good for the game. I think that opens the floodgates too much, right? It just becomes too much. Now everything's splashing and all over. Go play PD2. It's got melee splash. Allow mods in D2R, obviously. It's too good. It feels nice for a bit, but I just think it gets ridiculous, and so many builds now just start to all feel the samey in this way. But I do like the idea of having specific skills, something like Maul, where there's big old bear slapping across, where you can hit up to 2 adjacent enemies. I think that is actually a cool idea. Having a little splash or something on specific ones is an interesting way to add it to skills without getting too crazy. So, I think that's interesting. Concentrate skill now ignores chance to block mechanic. Oh, that'd be nice in PvP. I guess you still have to be able to jump on top of them, though. That'd be interesting.
Some simple changes that could make certain melee builds quite a bit more desirable in the end game. I've linked his post below, as I think his points are well articulated and would be received pretty well, especially his suggestions about concentrate with the barbarian. Chain zerking, or executing a very precise and complicated set of actions in PvP, isn't as rewarding as it should be for skilled players, and his proposed changes not only make this skill more viable in PvM, but far more rewarding in PvP. He suggests not only a block chance synergy with Iron Skin, but also suggests that concentrate should ignore block chance. While that might sound OP, you have to figure how difficult it is to stay close to your opponent in the Bloodborne. People thought the same about Impale when they announced those changes, but as it turns out, it's pretty hard to catch people in.
Plus, in like PvE, it'd be nice, that would make it even like better chances for hitting.
PvP. It should feel rewarding when you do. Ironically, this change would probably have the most effect on the melee PvP community, but it's not one that would completely brick the class in my opinion. If the ignore block chance forces the community to ban concentrate, let's say worst case scenario, then his suggested changes with bash could make that build more viable in the division. I think his suggestions about the druid as well are very good. To go further, I think it's clear to see that shape-shifting druids have failed to thrive even after the introduction of metamorphosis, something that was thought to be a powerful rune word when it was announced. I'd echo.
I mean, I still think that rune word is like really powerful. Like, that's still insanely powerful. Let's be honest. I think the biggest thing holding back shapeshifting is the fact that you can't teleport while you're shapeshifted, right? Like, that's probably it. That's why shapeshifting it sucks still. No matter what you do with it, it has its little spots. But if everything else can teleport except the shapeshifted dude, then the shapeshifted dude is worse.
Was thought to be a powerful rune word when it was announced. I'd echo a suggestion we put in place over a year ago concerning these types of builds, and that is that shapeshifted druids should be able to teleport in their respective.
I have not watched this video, by the way.
Forms. While some players hate that teleport is a part of the game, the simple
we're on
fact
the
of
same
the matter
wavelength.
is that it's here to stay, and it sort of makes Diablo 2 what it is today. If we wanted to struggle with movement speed being a main challenge of the game, we have Diablo 4 now. Allowing teleport for these builds is an obvious step in the right direction towards awarding all of them more endgame viability. There's also a ton of feedback and comments online surrounding the current state of PvP.
Yeah, this is one, again, this is something that I have in my video. Again, I haven't even watched this, but this is one everybody always comes in and says, please revert the FHR nerfs.
Surrounding the current state of PvP. Players are hoping that the devs eventually address some of their biggest gripes. For example, the Assassin. Not only is she the best PvM character now since the introduction of Mosaic, but for quite some time, PvP players have felt that the Trap Assassin is a bit overpowered. And now, thanks to years of data collected in the DFC and compiled brilliantly by our friend Sound, we now have actual evidence to prove that. Even with unprecedented levels of lightning absorb allowed in good-mannered duels these days, you can see that the Assassin is eating pretty well in PvP. Some adjustments...
Wow. My poor Necro. My poor Necro. Druids are too good with their whole zoo now. Harmon Train, thank you. And even if you just have the whoops, it's just that I just hate druids. Meanwhile, in Paladin land, Paladins just getting, they're just brutalized there. Druid Cyclone Armor, that's also true.
Is eating pretty well in PvP.
That's a really
Some
nice
adjustments have been made to PvP in previous D2R patches, but they all sort of missed the mark when it came to solving the real issues. Prior to the faster hit recovery changes brought about in patch 2.4, new players in PvP would get Mind Blast locked by an assassin and quickly quit PvP faster than they ever thought about trying it. Even since the days of LOD, this has been one of the most miserable feelings in dueling and probably should have been addressed even back then. Now, after patch 2.4, players can only be stunned once before gaining temporary immunity to being stunned again. That's an oversimplification of it, but you get the point. Now, while I personally haven't always agreed with the community's sentiment on what should be done here, I think it would be unfair if I didn't state what most people are saying. But quite honestly, I'm beginning to sympathize with this a bit more. Many players are in support of reverting the FHR changes back to what they were prior to patch 2.4. Introducing these changes actually hurt a lot of other classes in PvP and hasn't really stopped the Trap Assassin's reign of dominance. In addition to reverting the changes back to what they were prior to patch 2.4 with regard to faster hit recovery, nerfing Mind Blast might just be the root of the problem. Even early on in PvM, it's the Assassin's most oppressive skill. While there's been many suggestions on how exactly to do this, the easiest solution that seems to address nearly all of them is just to add a 2-second cast delay to the skill. Even without perpetual stun from...
I don't like that. PvE, a 2-second cast delay would be brutal. That would be too brutal. Like, you don't get a conversion near enough with lower stuff. Also, adding more cooldowns. I would say adjust it for PvP to potentially just have a shorter stun length. Like, really, really shortened or something. So it becomes very less useful. As if it was being... something in the way of that. Or yes, keep faster hit recovery change for Mind Blast only. Exactly. Once you get stunned by Mind Blast, there is a small delay before you can be stunned by Mind Blast again. Something along those lines, I think, is the proper way, because this would be really painful otherwise for PvE there. 2 seconds. Ugh. Also, I just don't like the idea of adding more cooldowns to the game. What is this, Diablo 4? Come on.
On the skill, the damage on Mind Blast is insignificant in PvM, but devastating when spammed in PvP. In my opinion, this skill should have never been so easy to spam, as most skills with such utility had cast delays in the first place. If 2 seconds seems like too long at first, consider that the Shadow Master can be manipulated to cast this skill quite frequently as well. While it's great that the devs thought about this problem in patch 2.4, most of the PvP community is is dissatisfied with the change and recognizes that Mind Blast was the true problem all along. But if all of this is just too much to think about, Blizzard, then could you please just do more events like the 22 Nights of Terror, but instead just make it 22 Nights of Gambling? That was the most fun I've had playing Diablo 2 in a long time.
I didn't know you got a Jeweler's Chart of Speed. I didn't know that. That's awesome. I was wanting that. That's what I was hoping for, man. I love that helm.
And I barely ever left town. What are you hoping to see in the next version of Diablo 2 Resurrected? Let me know down in the comments. I'll try to pin the best one to the top to hopefully give it a little bit more visibility. If you like this video, consider helping me hit 66,600 subscribers.
Oh,
and
nice.
I'll catch you in the next one.
You gonna show your fight against me at the end?
Yeah, can we get this fixed too?
Oh,
Thanks.
that'd be nice. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of decent requests in there. And I think you're really keeping it light. Like, you're not even going into, you know, changing up rune words or adjusting formulas too much or doing anything with all of this. You're just like, hey, these are implementable changes that they can make. They can nerf back or change back, revert, you know, FHR changes. They can put teleport on Tyrios. I mean, again, Tyrios might probably actually require still too many things. You know, they can just do some small changes there, and I think a lot of those are actionable. So I agree with about half to 2/3 of that. I mean, we were on the same mindset. Teleporting in shapeshifting form, unfortunately, just required unless we really fix teleport overall, which potentially is something that needs to be done. That's probably a whole video on its own and a whole giant discussion in so many ways. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think, YouTube. Feel free to leave your comments down below. What do you think of Coooley's suggested changes? As always, be respectful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace, you guys. I'll see you guys next time.